Hello friends, there are so many things to talk about nature, but when it comes to Wordsworth, he takes us to a new level of understanding nature. What is nature? According to Wordsworth, nature is a supreme entity. Nature is all in all for him. According to the poet, he himself is the high priest of nature. And also, as a person who kick-started the romantic movement, he became an ardent worshipper of nature, to an extent of exhorting the readers to follow his footpath. We have already completed 3 stanzas from the poem Tintern, Abbey. Shall we get back to the slides and complete the 4th stanza today? Dear friends, now we are on the 4th stanza of Tintern, Abbey. I have divided the stanza into 4 parts. Now let me read the first part of the 4th stanza. And now, with gleams of half-extinguished thought, with many recognitions dim and faint, and somewhat of a sad perplexity, the picture of the mind revives again. While here I stand, not only with the sense of present pleasure, but with pleasing thoughts that in this moment there is food for future years. And so I dared to hope, though changed, no doubt, from what I was when first I came among these hills, when like a roe I bounded over the mountains, by the sides of the deep rivers, and the lonely streams, wherever nature led, more like a man flying from something he dreads, than one who sought the thing he loved. So it is a flashback, that is, compared with the present situation and connected with the future. We'll get to the thematic analysis. In the first place, we see that the poet is a little confused and worried. He is saddened by the thought that he is not able to understand fully how he used to be. The emotions, the exact sentiments, he is not able to bring up at this moment. But everything seems to revive again. We have to keep in mind, he wonderfully connects. I am not talking about the present pleasure alone. I'm talking about the past incidents, and also I'm going to connect with future, how there is life and food for future years. The second gift is food enough for me to write poems for the rest of my life. And then he tries to get back to how he used to be. He was like a roe, like a deer, running over the mountains, escaping from something, or like a man escaping from the city, escaping from the society, not like a man who wanted to come there to love nature. No, he was not like that. He was very immature. He came in order to take rest. But now he has come in order to love nature. We'll get back to the poetic devices. The first place, anaphora, and now, and then again, and somewhat. And then after several lines, I came among these hills. I bounded over the mountains. These are the instances of anaphora. We have consonants, somewhat of a sad, somewhat of a sad. And then again, I came among. Alliteration, present pleasure, for future, flying from, the thing. So these are examples for alliteration. He has made 2 analogies. Simile is used, when like a roe, and then again, more like a man. He compared himself with a deer, and then he compared himself with an inexperienced man. There is one other poetic device that I have not written here, that is caesura. So many instances of caesura. Caesura is a meaningful pause that comes in between. So there is a comma or a period or any form of the punctuation marks that come in between, mostly a punctuation mark doesn't come in the middle of the stanza. Okay, so when it stands there, it is called caesura. So caesura in this line, while here I stand, comma, not only with the sense of present pleasure, again another instance of caesura. Okay, so there are several instances of caesura, and one more poetic device is enjambment. At the end of the line there is always a comma, one other punctuation mark is always present, but when there is no punctuation mark and the phrase runs into the next line, so the line ends here. Let's see, not only with the sense of present pleasure, the line continues. So it is called enjambment. It is called enjambment. Shall we move to the second part of the fourth stanza? Let me read the part once. For nature then, the coarser pleasures of my boyish days, and their glad animal movements all gone by, to me was all in all. I cannot paint what then I was. The sounding cataract haunted me like a passion. The tall rock, the mountain, and the deep and gloomy wood, their colors and their forms were then to me an appetite, a feeling and a love that had no need of a remoter charm, by thought supplied, nor any interest unborrowed from the eye. That time is past, and all its aching joys are now no more, and all its dizzy raptures. Not for this faint eye, nor mourn, nor murmur, other gifts have followed. For such loss, I would believe abundant recompense. He continues with his flashback, how he used to be. He was like an animal with coarser pleasures. Nature was everything to him. He came to nature like an animal for selfish reasons. And also the second point can be, he came to nature because of his senses. The waterfalls, the sounding cataract, haunted him like a passion. The tall rock, the mountain, and the dim and gloomy wood, their colors, when he saw, he was full of emotions. He came to it with an appetite, with a hunger. So he did not have a remoter charm. The remoter charm was not necessary for him. What is this remoter charm? Sensing nature with one's common sense and trying to understand nature not with emotions but with mind, not with sentiments but with knowledge and understanding. So he was not able to love nature like that. He loved nature only with his eye. He loved nature with his aching joys and dizzy raptures. He was so taken up by nature. But all the aching joys and dizzy raptures are not with him anymore. And he is not worried because he is possessing the second gift. Okay, we'll go to the poetic devices. Consonants, animal movement, anaphora, the sounding cataract haunted me like a passion, the tall rock, the mountain, and the deep. And again after several lines, and all its aching joys, and all its dizzy raptures. These are the instances of anaphora. We have alliteration here, now, no. That is alliteration. And also like a passion, haunted me like a passion. A passion means a strong feeling. So there are instances of caesura. There is a full stop here. What then I was, full stop, caesura. Wherever you see a punctuation mark, whether it is a full stop, a semicolon, a colon, all these are instances of caesura. Okay, So when you don't see a punctuation mark at the end of a line, and when the phrase runs into the next line, it is enjambment. Okay, so here, by thought supplied nor any interest borrowed from the eye. So that is an instance of enjambment. Once again, an enjambment. Other gifts have followed. Okay, so that is an enjambment. We'll move to the last part of the fourth stanza. Let me read the stanza once. For I have learned to look on nature not as in the hour of thoughtless youth, but hearing oftentimes the still sad music of humanity, nor harsh nor grating, though of ample power to chasten and subdue. And I have felt a presence that disturbs me with the joy of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of the setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man, a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. Therefore I am still a lover of the meadows, and the woods and mountains, and of all that we behold from this green earth, of all the mighty world of eye and ear, both what they half create and what perceive, well pleased to recognize in nature and the language of the sense, the anchor of my purest thoughts, the nurse, the guide, the guardian of my heart, and soul of all my moral being. I have divided this part into two for explanation. So now, let us get this straight. He sees nature. When he tells, he sees nature not with his physical eye. Seeing is understanding in this place. Unlike his future self, when he saw with his physical eye and did not understand, he is totally different now. He sees nature and he hears the sad music of humanity. Human beings once lived alongside nature, but not anymore. Not anymore. There is an artificial, grating, harsh music of civilization flowing into his ears. He is able to hear that as well. That's exactly why he is very sad and also happy, because he has understood nature. So we human beings have so much of power to chasten and subdue, to discipline and to have under control. We do not know exactly what he is talking about here, whether it is self-discipline or to discipline and have control over nature. But still, that is not our natural self. We have to go back to nature. Going back to nature should be our aim and ambition. So, this is the first part. And then the second part is very important. The same part 3 of stanza 4. The second part is very important. Wordsworth describes the invisible presence of nature. Nature as a supreme entity. What is entity? Ontology. In philosophy, people talk about ontology, being and nothingness. A wonderful book written by Sartre. Being and becoming. Another book is written by another great philosopher, Heidegger. So here, nature is considered as an entity, a being, not just an ordinary entity, but a supreme entity that can give elevated thoughts into the mind of all human beings. And the second point is that nature is present everywhere. It is omnipresent. In a way, he is trying to compare nature with God himself. It is deeply interfused. In his words, he writes, in the light of the setting suns. Where is nature? It is there when the sun is setting. It is there in the ocean. It is there with the mountains. It is in the air. It is in the music. It is in the blue sky. And it is in the mind of the person. So the third point, the third way of calling it is It is a kind of a spirit and a motion, an energy that impels every human thinking. So that is nature. So when it comes to physics, we believe that motion, a kind of energy and space, is required for creation. So nature itself is that energy. Nature itself is that impelling force. And so, because of that, Wordsworth calls himself a lover of the meadows. The first gift is not given up fully. He continues to love the meadows. He continues to love nature with all his five senses, with his eye, even though it cannot see everything fully, with his ears, even though it cannot hear everything. Despite all these things, he is able to love nature with a limited knowledge. And then again, he calls nature the anchor of my purest thoughts, the nurse, the guide, the guardian of my heart. So, in this way, nature is all in a different manner. By understanding nature, by knowing nature, nature becomes all in all for the poet. We'll come to the poetic devices. Several instances of consonants are seen here. On nature, not, still, sad, music. If we just take still, sad, that is alliteration, ample power, alliteration here, sense sublime, setting suns, mind of man, consonants, we be, assonance, we behold, assonance. Of instances of anaphora, of elevated thoughts, of something far more. And the round ocean and the blue sky, all thinking things, all objects, the anchor, the nurse, the guide, the guardian. So we also have instances of enjambment. Therefore I am still a lover of the meadows, that is enjambment, because without any punctuation mark, the phrase runs into the next line. And several instances of caesura, wherever you see punctuation marks in between a line, that is a caesura. So thank you very much.